Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
When I first heard the name Symphony at the Waterways, I thought, well, that could be a whole new theater that's going up, that we're going to be doing music and symphony. But now I heard that it's a beautiful new assisted living and memory care community. I'll call it a community rather than a facility. And it's over there on East Oakland Park Boulevard. And I'm going to let the marketing director, the sales and marketing director, Carlos ORTIZ, talk about it. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Anita. How are you?
I am doing great, and I love to talk to people like you because I love older adults, and it sounds like you do too, because you wouldn't be in this business.
Absolutely. It's been a passion of mine since I was a kid. Since I saw my grandfather playing dominoes with his friends, and I could see how they would banter back and forth between subjects. And if you got lucky, every now and then you would see somebody sway somebody else and get them to jump on their side. But what I really love about this generation that we're working with right now is that back in those days, you were allowed to argue with each other, and you agreed to disagree, and it was no problem.
No one
those
hit
times
each other
are
over
gone.
the head or anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Those times are gone, but I'm working with the generation that I fell in love with. So
yeah, well, that's good. I think that it does require people to like the older generation, because if you don't, you won't have the patience that you will need.
You're very right.
So have you been doing this for a long time, to be in the business of senior living?
Absolutely. I started out, I've been in the industry over 15 years. Started out in Puerto Rico doing counseling in skilled nursing facilities. And then when I came here to the U.S., specifically to Florida, I got into the retirement industry.
And tell me what you as a young person, what you see that's different about living in a retirement community as compared to living alone at home as you age.
Well, I mean, living alone at home, the one benefit that most people find is that is the place they know. But when you really look at everything else, are your needs really being met? Are your social needs being met? And that is the biggest benefit that someone could get from living in a community setting. Yes, you could pay for somebody to come and care for you, but after the first week of them caring for you, the honeymoon is over, and all of a sudden that person became your babysitter. But when you come to a community setting, you have options. And you could choose to be private, and that's okay. But you do have the option, if you want to be social, you just open the door, and you know there's going to be people out there. And there's activities for you to do throughout the day. You have people from all walks of life to interact with. Usually, most communities have a very blended group of people. So you may end up meeting people that at some point in your life you probably never thought you would meet. I mean, I never thought I was going to meet Darla from the Little Rascals, and I did.
Did you? How's that? She there?
Oh, she was amazing. In one my previous community, I remember I started working there, and 6 months into my job, I just came to her and I asked her, "Is it true that you're Darla from the Little Rascals?" And if you remember her character, she always put her hand on her waist. And she did that, and she looked at me just like, "Why? Do you want me for my money or my body?"
Oh, that's wonderful. Is that what she said to you when you asked?
Oh, my gosh. She was an amazing lady. Very funny lady.
Well, one thing that, too, is very important, besides the socialization, is the nutrition. Because so many times, even if I'm home, and, I'm home and I can go out and get something if I want to, but you start eating things that don't make sense, and then you stop eating. And then the food isn't, so many older people's homes, you go in and the refrigerator has food that has been there for days and you shouldn't be eating it. So there's so many benefits.
Yes, you're very right. It's not fun to cook for one person. And that goes with any age. Because I remember while I was going through college and the time that I was single, I didn't quite enjoy cooking for myself. But when you're in a community setting, that's another benefit you have. You have a warm cooked meal 3 times a day for you by a real chef. You also have all the other services like transportation, being able to see your doctor, run your own errands. So in a sense, you're still keeping your independence. You're being independent from your family. And by the same token, your family can rest at ease knowing that you're in an environment where, one, you're being engaged, but 2, if there's an emergency, there is someone that's going to respond to you in a timely manner.
So, Carlos, I can see why you can talk to the older person and convince them that they should move now to this gorgeous new Symphony on the Waterways. Tell us about your new home. What's it going to be like?
Well, it's going to be amazing. I also have a background in hospitality, and one of my biggest worries with the industry is, even though our industry has come a long way from the day that it began, it still needs a little bit of work as with the approach that we have for care for our seniors. And there's great communities out there, but it still sort of seems like you're coming into a babysitting environment when you go into retirement living. And yes, you have a lot of activities, but what happens to those seniors who come to a community setting looking for socialization, but they also still have an extremely active lifestyle, and they still want to be involved in what the city offers to them? So that's where Symphony comes in. Symphony is a community that will offer everything that everyone is accustomed to having already in a retirement industry, but also we have strong partnerships in the city. So our residents will not only have the availability of the activities that are community-based, but they're also going to have available to them all the cultural things that are happening in the Fort Lauderdale area. One of our partnerships currently is with the South Florida Symphony, which sort of makes sense. Symphony at the Waterways and South Florida Symphony. And we are partnering up with them. So they're going to come to our community to do presentations with us. At the same time, our residents are going to be able to come to their shows, sometimes for free. And the days that they have to pay, it's going to be for a lesser rate. So they do have a benefit. We're going to be participating in the events with the Broward Performing Arts Center, the Orchid Show, which is the second largest in the nation. We have a contract with a water taxi to come once a month to come and pick our residents up. And every time this happens, our chef is going to make great appetizers, and we're going to be serving those in the water taxi as we're going up and down the Intercoastal.
So when do I get to move there?
Come on. But you're still a chicken. We'll put you to work.
Oh, my goodness, I love this. This is absolutely wonderful.
Also, the building itself, it's a very social environment. At any given time for meals, residents are going to have two different options for meals. On the very first floor, there is going to be a waterside cafe that's open from breakfast through lunch and to the middle of the afternoon. So in the middle of your meals, if you want to get a snack, you can stop by the waterside cafe. For the 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, our dining room, it's restaurant style. It's going to be on the top floor overlooking the Intercoastal. And then at dinner time, you'll also have, as an option, a full liquor licensed tapas bar. So it's an appetizer bar that residents are going to be able to come in. If they just want to have a small meal and a drink, they can. Or if they want to just have an appetizer first and then go into the dining room, they can do that also.
Someone has really been hard at work planning this. This is unique in many ways that I'm hearing.
It's very unique, and it's been very needed in the eastern portion of Fort Lauderdale, because so far anybody that wants to move into a retirement community has to look either further up north or go further into the western side of the city.
What I want to do is give everybody a phone number. If you want to speak with Carlos Ortiz, you can call him at 754-212-1870. That's 212-1870, and that's 754. And you can ask him any questions you want, or you had some announcements that you want to make, and maybe some people who are listening would like to go.
Sure. Right now, we will be hosting a job fair to fill in most of the positions that we have available right now. The job fair is going to be on August 23rd and the 24th at the Residences by Marriott, otherwise known as Il Lugano in Fort Lauderdale. So please give me a call and I'll give you some more information about that. And aside from that, anybody who's interested in finding out more about the community, but they don't want to have a full a meeting or anything like that, we're going to be hosting a launch on August 25th at Il Lugano also at 11:30. So you can feel free to give me a call and I'll give you more details. And there will be valet parking provided for the lunch.
Okay, so the phone number is 754-212-1870. Just to find out a little bit about the, about Symphony of the Waterways, at the Waterways, actually. Sounds pretty romantic to me, and being involved with senior residences for quite a long time, there are always romances that pop up, and I'm sure that you were aware of that when you were at your other facilities. So it does give people a whole new look on life. And I know, as you said, people want to stay at home because it's their house. They understand it. But if it's not right for them anymore, then they are going to go out searching for places. Seems like you're the new Symphony of the Americas at the Americas is going to be very upscale.
Yes, Symphony of the Waterways, it's specifically catering to that group of people that have grown accustomed to their lifestyle, specifically in the Gulf Ocean Mile, but also people who are accustomed to having an extremely social life because of all the availability that we have for activities outside of the community and with the partnerships that we have in the city.
We actually, Boomer Times is delivered to Gulf Ocean Mile. We're in a lot of those high-rise condos.
Yes.
And they are quite beautiful, but you can see why they really are alone in that apartment. And I know that. I know that from my mother before. When they're in there, anything could happen to them if they live alone. And then they are lonesome, even though you wonder why. But a lot of them actually don't want to go anywhere because they're afraid. It's a lot of psychological reasons. But somehow when they're in a retirement community like this, you and of course Karen, who is the executive director, you know who they are, and you try to match them up and pull them out of their apartment and make them have a happier life.
Absolutely, Anita. For anybody listening, we do understand it is a big decision to move, to make a change, especially at that time in your life. But we have found that even from the shyest of residents, when they come into a community setting, you do see a change in them. And I have had residents that fight it all the way through. They fight with their children. I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden they do move in. And one of the ladies that I'm thinking right now ended up practically owning the community after the second week. She was calling out bingo numbers, but trust me, she was letting her daughter have it. Her daughter would call her, and she would tell her she was unhappy.
How horrible everything was. She didn't want to be there, right? But then she loved it.
Until I sent her a video of her mother calling bingo numbers.
You're so bad. Well, but that is true. It's just human nature. It's like kids at camp.
Yes.
The first week they want to come home, and then after that you can't get rid of them. Is this a rental or what kind of payment? How is this done?
We are a rental community. And because we're also catering to the independent crowd too. So people looking for an easier lifestyle, they don't need care, they can still come to us. The way that we work it is an agreement, but you can break it at any time with a 30-day notice for whatever reason that may be. So you're not really making a decision for the rest of your life. You do have the freedom to do whatever you want to do moving forward. But obviously, once you move in, we hope you stay with us.
Well, Carlos, I can see why you're successful in this field. Carlos ORTIZ, Sales and Marketing Director of Symphony of the Waterways. Call him at 754-212-1870. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.